What's going on, peeps? If you followed this channel here, you know I like talking about online businesses and online business acquisitions. I've started, acquired, and also sold online businesses and currently do own online businesses. And I'm looking to acquire more. So one of the things I do is I follow online business listings and kind of discuss them and share them here on the channel. And I wanted to change it up a bit. Figured I'd bring on a friend of mine, someone I know that's also looking to acquire an online business, or I guess more of a hybrid business, as we'll talk about here. But we'll see how this goes. We're just going to pull up a deal, one deal from each of us, and we'll probably break this up into 2 episodes and talk it out based on the business listings, what we like about them, what we don't like, what the strengths are, what the weaknesses are, the opportunities, the valuation of the business, all that kind of good stuff. We'll hash it out. So this is my friend Chris Ross. He owns a agency for financial advisors, and he's done very well with that. I've seen him grow that business over the last several years now at this point. So it's been very impressive. And Chris is a dude that I really respect a lot when it comes to businesses and online marketing, stuff like that. So let's just kind of jump into it here. And we'll start off with my deal, the one that I pulled up here. And you can see I've got a million tabs open of all the listings that have came to me over the last week that caught my attention. This one, though, is a subscription box e-commerce brand in the youth sports sector, listed by none other than Website Closers. So we know it's going to have an incredibly long teaser, as we can see on my screen share there. We're not going to read it all. We'll cover the details, or I'll skim it and kind of present some of the details as I pull them out. Cash flowing a little over $1 million a year, $1,038,000. We'll call that $1 million a year. And they're asking $4,800,000. So that's a 4.8x multiple on it. That, you know, as I read that out loud, that seems steep. When I was first looking at this and seeing $1 million a year and then asking price 4.8 million, I'm like, you know, kind of lines up. But then when you say 4.8, it's like, whoa, that's kind of high. Established in 2015, revenue of 4.6 million, EBITDA, the $1 million a year. And we'll get into the business description here again. I'm not going to read it word for word. I'll try to pull out all of the key details. And Chris, if you notice any details while you're skimming over it, I certainly do call them out. Business description: 7 paid traffic sources, 60 SKUs, $130 average order value, proprietary brand. Websites Closers presents an e-commerce company that has demonstrated the power of subscription services and in a field very important to parents, youth sports. The business started out as a side project to finance the current owner's time in minor league baseball, has grown tremendously and led to the creation of proprietary sports products that people love and consider valuable. In exchange for a subscription, a young baseball player gets a subscription box filled with goodies every month, and usually 6 to 8 new items each time. They've got 89% of their customers being long-term subscribers. The company is shipping 6,000 packages a month, so I guess we could infer that they have 6,000 subscribers. Loyal parents, which we know youth sports parents are pretty loyal. 30% of their new subscribers come from word of mouth, so they got some branding going on there. Some details on the youth sports market. We'll talk about that, I think, because that's part of why I was intrigued by this listing. And it was initially launched in 2015. The concept caught on so quickly that the original owner, turned it into a full-time business in 2018. That's interesting. So the business has already changed hands. And it was successful. Subscriptions are so strong now that the company ships 6,000 orders each month from their 3PL. That's very important. And to keep their customers happy, they stock about 500K worth of inventory, with new inventory orders placed each month. Their boxes are manufactured for them and sent directly to the 3PL. Many of the company's tasks are managed by an experienced and skilled team. And how many employees do they have? 3 of them. So 3 employees. Chris, man, are you ready to write me a check for $4.8 million for this business?
I don't know. Definitely, it seems intriguing. I like the fact that it is a subscription business, right? So it's, you know, it should be fairly easy recurring revenue. But the listing doesn't, you know, give a whole lot about the business itself, which is kind of, you know, one of these things that I believe they do this on purpose to kind of make you inquire a little bit more about it. But on the face of it, it looks like a good deal.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. I know I was, you know, kind of wondering, like, what is actually in these boxes here? And I think the only thing I could find was goodies, right? We don't really know exactly what a goodie is.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what that could be either, but I mean, if people are continuing to buy it, then I guess what's in it, or, you know, what they're providing, is it probably necessarily as important, as it's not something that's considered a fad, right? You don't want to buy a
Yeah.
company where they're selling something where it's just a trend. Now,
Yeah.
they've been in business since
Like
2018,
kind of like
so
the gag joke subscriptions, like send a bag
yeah.
of dicks or something. Yeah, subscribe to that. Your worst enemy will get one of those every month.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it doesn't seem like that. Obviously, it's been around since 2015. It's changed hands. I like that. I like that it has been, sold. I think that that kind of shows some value in that it has staying power under a new owner. It was able to change hand once, and I would assume grow over that time. I don't know if we have any details on when that acquisition was. Was it? I recall the words 2018. Now turn it into a full-time business in 2018. So sometime between 2018 and now, it went to new ownership. So it would be interesting to find out how it has performed under new ownership. Obviously, it's still cash flowing $1 million a year, and they have an asking price at 4.8x. So the broker clearly sees it as worthwhile and valuable. The subscription thing is interesting to me because personally, I'm not much of a subscription dude. Like, I hate subscriptions. I would not sign up to this. I would not be a customer of this business. But somebody out there is paying for it.
Yeah, definitely so. I mean, I'm not a big subscription person either. I don't have any personal subscriptions for anything. Now, obviously, in a business, there's several subscriptions that we have for stuff that we need.
It's funny how those stack up too.
Exactly. But on the personal side, definitely not. But being that it's key, and parents always want to make their kids happy, and especially if it's sports related of some sort, I can definitely see how it could, potentially have some staying power there. So
yeah, and that's one of the things that kind of drew me to this listing of the, probably 15 or 20 others that I got open on my windows a couple of years back. So it would have been like 2019. I recall seeing something on like a 60-minute style TV program, and it was basically talking about youth sports and just how rapidly it's growing and how big of an industry it's become. And, you might recognize that if you have kids. I do not have kids. So, to me, it was kind of like something I didn't really think of. But once I watch it, I'm like, holy shit, yeah, this kind of all adds up, for like baseball per se. And this happens within every little niche of the sports. There's multiple agencies that organize events, and then they have like each agency has like 8 nationals, right? So they'll have like a quote unquote national event in Florida, one in Georgia, one in Texas, one in California, then, one up in the Northwest, one up in the Northeast, right? So it's not really a sanctioned I don't want to say legitimate. It's not really a sanctioned and kind of accredited, so to say, sporting event, but it's advertised as like a national event. And ultimately, it's really just youth sports tourism. And it was talking about how much money, parents just spend on their kids' sports. And that's why this came onto my radar here as being one that I might potentially be interested in. Let's kind of talk about the 7 paid traffic sources, 60 SKUs, and $130 of average order value. What do you make of that?
Yeah, so it sounds like, at least from a marketing perspective, that they are marketing. Sometimes you come across these companies and they're kind of coasting on referrals or, just very few traffic sources. So the fact that they have 7, now we don't know what the 7 are, but if they are 7 distinct traffic sources, then they should be well diversified and not completely dependent upon, one particular marketing channel. And $130 AOV is pretty good too.
Yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
that's pretty good. 60 SKUs. I mean, those numbers right there. Well, I think there's clearly a reason why they put those numbers right in the top because they're very good numbers, right? 7 paid traffic sources. So, you're diversified. 60 SKUs. That's not a ton. It's not like seeing an e-commerce business where sometimes it's like there's 1,000 and you're like, whoa, how am I even going to, how am I even going to get a handle on 1,000 SKUs? And then 130 AOV? It's pretty nice subscription to get every month, right? The only thing that kind of strikes me as not too good with that is like, where do you add value as the owner, right? Like if you're coming in, I mean, 7 paid traffic sources, my gosh, right? Like that's more than I know about. How do I come in and grow this business?
Yeah, or it could. Well, I really just depends upon, right, what your acquisition criteria is. If to me, on the face of it, it looks to be somewhat of a low maintenance type of business because it only has 3 employees.
Yeah,
we're not really sure. how much the owner is involved in it. But if it's, flowing $1 million a year, I'm almost really interested in why would somebody want to get rid of this business? Because I would just keep it in my back pocket and just continue to let it make money. I mean, it's almost a money burner.
Right? Like that's, yeah. And, at that asking price, that valuation, 4.8x, I mean, obviously it's justifiable, I think. This business has some tenacity. They've got good numbers that we can see from what's been presented to us. Doesn't seem like they have a high churn rate. There's good branding behind it. If 30% of the new subscribers come from word of mouth, yes, they can justify that 48x multiple, but at the same time, you have to consider why is the person selling it? And maybe they're just like, well, if we can get 4.8 million for it, I'll take it, but I'm not going to take a penny less. That could be the case.
Could very well be.
Yeah.
I mean, you never really know. Obviously, once you get into it and you start doing your due diligence, you may find some things that may help bring that valuation down or bring the asking price down. But because we're always looking to get a deal, for a business at a good valuation where you can just maybe make some minor changes. And I mean, you probably could just turn around and flip it, depending upon how much the current owner is involved. If you can, at least get professional management in place. That alone could help increase the value of the business itself if the owner is doing a whole lot right now.
Yeah. Now, did they give us a paragraph on what the owner is doing down here? Many of the company's tasks are managed by an experienced and skilled team that includes a full-time customer service representative who handles procurement, logistics, a full-time content creator and videographer, and a contract customer service agent. So those are the 3 roles, right? So they've got customer services covered, who handles procurement and logistics, right? So that sounds like the operations, basically. Then they've got the full-time content creator and videographer, and then the customer service agent. I mean, so it seems like whoever's in the driver's seat of this business is really taking more of a CEO approach than a hands-on approach, which, that's nice. I mean, it's nice if you're looking to, get into the business and not really have something that's, bogging you down, I guess I should say.
Yeah, and I'm curious about this. Now that you bring that up about the content creator and like the videographer, I wonder if that is a big part of their marketing campaign. And then if so, like what happens if you buy the business? Like who is the videographer? Like where they're getting this content from? Could that person continue to keep, doing what they're doing? Or like, is it the owner's son or something, right?
That would be something where you really want to figure out what the full-time content creator and videographer is. I mean, ideally, it's a totally independent person and you just add them to the subscription list. Maybe they get the subscription box a month, like, they get the products a month ahead of time so they can create some content on it. And that's it, and you have very little interaction with them and they just kind of do their thing. That would be the win. The flip side of that, of course, would be it's somebody related to the owner, either their, adult child or with this kind of business, maybe even a teenage child or something, or their wife or something like that. And they have kids and they go to all the sporting events, etc. And then they make all the content themselves while they're on these, at these events or something. That would kind of be the bad side of things here.
Yeah, because then you have to try to figure out how you're going to replace their current marketing strategy if you don't know where to go to produce the same kind of content.
I'm not about to start going to youth sporting events. Sorry, that's not on my agenda for Saturday and Sunday mornings. Let's keep that off the radar for a few years.
Gotcha.
Yeah, all right. So what do we like about this business here? I guess just to kind of wind it down and we'll talk about what we don't like. What do we like? I think we like, the 7 paid advertising channels, 60 SKUs, so not that many products, $130 AOV. It's subscription business. They seem to have a good team in place. They've got a 3PL in place, so you're not shipping this stuff out yourself. That's all stuff we like. What don't we like about this business besides the asking price of 4.8x?
Yeah, I would say as of right now, that probably really is the only thing that's somewhat of a con. It's just, what they're asking for it. if you can definitely get it at a much lower multiple, you know, even a 3x, I mean, that would be great. But
Oh, a
there's
3x would
nothing.
make this thing a steal, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's nothing on the face of the
Nothing on the
listing.
face.
No.
So let's
Yeah.
kind of rephrase that and say what might we find out that makes this not such a good deal? And to me, I think that would be, well, the cash flow is only based on 1 year, right? Like what if 2 years prior to this cash flow is only like 200 grand, right? So when, cash flow 200 grand, somebody bought this business. We don't know how long they've owned it. They were, let's just assume they were paid advertising gurus. So they dumped in some paid advertising magic here. Boom, pop it up. Cash flows up, from 200 grand to a million. That's 4x on the cash flow. Let's sell this business while it's hot. If I saw that, that would probably be a little, not want to say discouraging, but that would certainly dissuade me from this 4.8x multiple by a lot.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, definitely looking at the year over year financials will be, a very important part of evaluating this. As long as the growth has been consistent for the past 3 years, I think you would be fine. But yeah, you don't want to have like this one outlier year where the most recent year was the best year, and then like you say, the previous years were not that great. So
so
that could be a con.
Yeah. Sweet. So yeah, if I got into this business here and decided to take a look at it, those would probably be the two things I'd want to see, right? Like what are the year over year financials? And that's pretty standard. But then who is this other owner, or the second person to own this business other than the founder? Who is it and what did they do? And did they, do they have a reason for possibly selling it quickly, right? And I think that's one of the things I always think about when I'm going to make an offer on a business is, why is the owner selling this business, and not why do they tell me that they're selling the business? Because quite frankly, I think that is always bullshit, right? But like, why is the owner really selling this business? And what's going on with it here? Because at these numbers, this thing just seems like a cash cow. It doesn't seem very capital intensive. So why not just ride the wave? And I think on that note, Chris, unless you got anything to add, we'll wind it down on this business and go on.
No, I think we pretty much kind of covered everything on this one, so nothing else to add.